This week on Historic Moments, we're going to talk about spaghetti sauce, out of stock laptops, and what's going on with you. Welcome to Historic Moments with Randy Lindsay. I'm not here to report the news, I'm here to start a conversation about the events that are affecting your life. This episode is for the week ending May 17th. All right, so let's pull up this first image. This picture of spaghetti sauce, person making spaghetti sauce. So this week, I am not covering any news items from the news. I've decided to cover items from my personal life. All right. And so this week I went down and got a haircut, right? Oh, it was driving me crazy. That long hair, getting in my eyes, getting itching my ears and everything. I hate having long hair. So I was so happy to get down there. Uh, so I'm talking with the lady who is cutting my hair, and she talks about spaghetti sauce. That during the COVID stay-at-home order, that she had learned how to make spaghetti sauce, and that she was not going to go back to store-bought spaghetti sauce ever. That the difference in taste and everything was just phenomenal, and it wasn't that hard to make, and I'm sure it's probably healthier too. So she was not going to go back to that. I think that got me to thinking. So how many of us have situations where our lives are going to be different now? I mean, so the stay-at-home order, if however much it affected our lives, what are we going to be doing differently as we move forward? I know that in my situation, we have friends. My wife does canning, and we're going to be doing some canning. We're going to be getting extra produce, and we're going to do some canning, just in case. Not that we're expecting there to be problems, but we don't want to be in a situation where there is. And this whole thing has been pretty good for us. My wife has been able to work from home, and we're fortunate, but it made us open our eyes to see, what was possible. And then I'm also thinking, maybe this has really turned back the clock for us. I mean, how many years has it been since people made their own spaghetti sauce? And I know that there's people who like cooking, and they still do that. But how long has it been since maybe the average person has done that? Or maybe not so average. I mean, maybe that is still the common and that's the norm, but I seem to see a lot less of it. And obviously, talking with this hairstylist, this is something she didn't used to do, and she's going to be doing it. And it to me, it harkened more of a time, I don't know, 30 years ago, where families spent more time together. They ate more. They ate at home more often, home cooked meals instead of like running out to McDonald's and bringing it home. Yeah, and that also made me think about how many families are doing things together because they're stuck at home, right? They can't. In a lot of cases, they can't leave. They're stuck at home. They're thinking of fun, inventive ways to do things together because they can't go out to movies. They're not going over to their friends' houses or whatever it is that they might be. They're having to entertain themselves as a family. So, I mean, obviously the pandemic is bad. It's not good at all that people are sick. People have died from this. It's not good that we've lost jobs. But is the natural result of a situation like this that we do go back to a different set of values? I don't know. I'm thinking that perhaps it does. And where's it going to go from here? I mean, is it going to just go back to the way it was in 6 months? Are we going to see our lives right back to where they were before the pandemic started? Or are these going to be changes to our lives for a while? Or is this going to be a lesson that stays with us? And maybe the situation is going to continue to evolve. And maybe different reasons will make us want to cook at home more often, do more things with our family or with small groups within the neighborhood. Maybe this will tighten neighborhood bonds, and we go back to more neighborhood block parties like they used to do in the past. I don't know, it's just something to think about. All right, the second item I have is I went to my daughter graduated. We decided to give her a laptop for her graduation present because she is an aspiring writer. Yay! Go! Go Lucy! She's going to be a writer like me. So we went down and got a laptop. We thought that would be great. So I'm looking through all the models, and I noticed one was like, oh, this one's out of stock. I mean, that's the one I was like, I think that would be perfect for what we want to do. Okay, so they don't have one, and we want to get her one today because it's graduating. It's her last day of school. Let's get her one today so she can celebrate right now. So move over, settle on a second laptop that isn't quite what we're looking for. I'm like, okay, we'll take this one. And they're like, oh, we don't have that. I'm like, well, then why don't you have a sign that says out of stock? Well, we did. And then the manager came in, and the district manager said, take those signs off because we have them in our warehouses, somewhere else. Like, but that's not in stock. That's what that means. Out of stock is what you do when you can't get it right now. For instance, like when I say, hey, I want to take that computer home right now, and you say, okay, here, let me give you one. That's in stock. If that's not the case, then it's out of stock, right? So this is another situation that we see that it isn't because of the pandemic. It doesn't make as much financial sense to have that much stock in hand. I can see that. I mean, I don't blame the companies for doing it. My only complaint about that is, okay, maybe you can see that I've got a puppy who's just wants to be part of the show today. She is, I guess she's not going to stop unless she's part of it. Okay, so we have stores, and they can't have as much stock as everything. Stores during this whole thing, the last couple of months, out of toilet paper, right? So they started making rules where if they had toilet paper, you could only take one roll. Okay, you know what? These things make sense. There's going to be less stock, but how long is this going to go? How long is this going to be a part of our life? We for sure have not seen the ramifications of the pandemic. There's going to be more coming along. With so many people going to be out of work, yeah, there'll be less customers in the stores to buy stuff, less reason to have as much stock. Are the stores all going to be doing that? Are we going to run into a problem where we go to a store like, yeah, I'd like that. Oh, sorry, we'll have to bring it in. You'll be in like the end of the next week. I'm like, well, then why isn't it called out of stock? Let me know that it's out of stock. Are we just gonna order everything online and then just go to stores and pick them up? Is that where we're headed with this? I don't know. It could be. I mean, I can definitely see a future where, yeah, the dog. Apparently she's a critic of the show. I don't know how I'm doing. I guess she doesn't think I'm doing very well. In the future, maybe that's the way we're going to go. Everything will be ordered online, and maybe they deliver it to us, or maybe we drive up to the front and someone just runs it out, and maybe stores won't need as much space. Maybe warehousing is where it's going to be. Everything will be about warehousing. We have it at our warehouse, and we can get it to you tomorrow. Okay, well, gosh, we already know some companies like that, right? So Amazon, they already do that. That's kind of pretty much their business model. Is everyone going to be following the Amazon business model? Is that the step? Is that the wave of the future? I don't know. Could be. All right, so one of the reasons, the reason we started this Historic Moments is that we, my partners and I, felt that it was important to convince people to write about their lives, to journal, to record their part of history. And make no mistake about it, these events that are happening, that we see happening every day, this is part of history. And whatever you do in reaction, whatever you think, that's your part of history, and you should write it down. You should be writing it down for your own benefit. You should be writing it down for the benefit of future generations. If you're willing to let other people read it once you're done. So we have my historic journal. Historic moments journal. All right. And we have, make sure I don't have it upside down, we have the pandemic version of my historic moments journal. So both of the items I brought up today so far, those can go to my historic moments journal, the pandemic edition, because these are events, these are things that are affecting my life. And so as you saw, as you've seen in the show, I'm talking about an event happens. And then what's the impact on me, and how's my reaction, or what is my reaction to it? How do I respond to it? All right, and that can be something you could be writing too. I mean, I really encourage it. I mean, there's so many amazing stories. When I've had people share stories with me along the same lines, I've been fascinated to hear them. All right, so I mentioned the third thing, what's going on with you. So here's the challenge. What's going on in your life? What this week happened that was because it was triggered because of something else? Some news item. And it doesn't have to be a national news item. It doesn't have to be the announcement of World War III. It can be something as little as finding out that your hairstylist makes your own spaghetti sauce. Or as simple as going to the store and the store not putting out of stock on all the items that are out of stock, that are at the warehouse, that you have to wait to get. All right, so those are just two examples of items in your life. Okay, now I'm not saying that those are big game changers, and there could be. There's a lot of people who have been affected. My sister had the virus. It did affect her life. It affected it a fair amount. She had to stay at home, right? She switched jobs because of it. There was a lot of impact. There was a lot of effects that came from her contracting the virus. She works in the medical field, so she was a very high risk to be able to get, in order to be infected with that. And she had to live separate from her family for a while. And that's still the case. So it has disrupted her life. And having a record of that her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren could read about down the road is valuable. It's very valuable for that family. And in some cases, these stories might be of value to more than just a family. Maybe family and friends. Maybe you have a story that is so compelling that really the whole world should know about it. And what better way to keep track of the details of that story than with a journal, with the Pandemic Edition journal, right? Write it down as it's happening. The way we have it formatted, we talk about the event, how it's impacting you, and how you respond to it. And really, those are kind of the elements of the story. So you go through and you do, if you're diligent with this, by the time you're done with your journal, you've pretty much got a story. Or maybe a part of it. Maybe you need to fill out more than one journal to make your story complete. There's enough here for 30 entries, I believe. You know what? I believe that it's 30 entries. No, you know what? No, I'm wrong. It is. I think it's 90 entries. I'm sorry, my bad. I don't know where 30 came from. There's enough there for 3 months. 90 entries. That's a lot of storytelling, and you don't have to fill it out every day. There's not something that happens every day. So for this week, if I were writing my journal, I'd be Monday. I'd be writing the spaghetti sauce story. And then Wednesday, I'd be writing the computer out of stock story. All right, I don't want to be using two of them. But it makes it easy for you to keep track of what's going on in your life so that later on you can put it together in a lovely story form. All right, so that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm hoping to encourage you to do the same. You can catch me on Facebook. You can catch me on Twitter. I post stuff every week. I encourage other people to post and comment on my post, and I definitely encourage you to do the same. All right, so that's it for this week. I hope I made you think, and more than that, I hope I encouraged you to record the important aspects of your life.